It is a common misbelief, misunderstanding, that happiness is possible when you have what you want. But it's very clear to see that happiness is not determined by what we have. There could be no greater concentration of rich, popular people than there are in Hollywood. Hollywood is filled with rich, gorgeous, popular people. But Hollywood is known for being a place of addiction and sorrow and despair. It is not being in Hollywood that makes a person happy. In the United States, we are blessed to live in what is still the richest country in the world. So how interesting that the richest country in the world is also where 82% of all painkillers are consumed. 82% of the painkillers in the world, I read, are used in America, the richest country. Happiness is clearly not determined by what we have. I have a priest friend who told me that he was called to do a funeral for 4 homeless people, all at one celebration. These 4 people had died during a 2-week period at the Catholic Worker House near my hometown. And when the priest got there for the funeral, there was a small choir of homeless people that were there to sing for the Mass. And he said they didn't have any hymnals, and so all the songs had to be songs that people knew by heart. And the first song that they started singing with all of their heart, he'd never heard before. But this choir of homeless people sang, "Count your blessings, count them one by one. Count your blessings, look what God has done. Count your blessings, count them one by one. Count your blessings, look what God has done." A choir of homeless people counting their blessings. I once was visiting the house of a parishioner, and they had a plaque that said, "Someone else is happy with less than what you have." What a powerful thing for us to remember, that our happiness is not determined by what we have. Our happiness has to come from a deeper place. The authors of books about gratitude and about happiness will say that it is true that it's not possible to be grateful for everything that you have to deal with. Not everything that we're dealing with makes us feel grateful. Nobody who's homeless needs to be grateful for being homeless. No one in Israel or Palestine needs to be grateful for war. It's understandable not to be grateful for sickness or for enduring some kind of domestic violence or anything like that. But what the gratitude experts tell us is, even if you can't be grateful for everything you're dealing with, you can be grateful in every moment. In every moment, no matter how complicated it is, there is something to feel grateful for. And it could be as simple as our breath, or that we're able to learn new things, or that we're able to stand. Or if we're not able to stand, that we have a bed to lie down in. Each of those things are great gifts that could be lost to us if we aren't paying attention. I learned this lesson once from a woman who had lost her daughter. And people will often say that losing a child is the very worst kind of grief that you can go through. And that woman was deeply depressed, understandably. And I asked her, were there any moments of lightness in the day? No matter, even though it was so hard, was there any time during the day that she could put her finger on a moment of lightness? And she said, waking up is really hard, because sometimes in my dreams I forget that I've lost my daughter. And then I wake up and I remember that I have. And so mornings are really hard. She said, but I love brushing my teeth. She said, I'm so grateful to brush my teeth. She said, because the toothpaste is in the same spot it always was. And the glass I drink out of is the same glass I had even before my daughter was born. And she said, when I brush my teeth, I think to myself, I've lost so much since I lost my daughter, but I haven't lost this. This is still something in the morning that I do that's the same. She said, it's probably crazy. It's a small thing, but I feel grateful for being able to brush my teeth in the morning. This week, we are being encouraged to spend some time thinking about counting our blessings and what that means. And it means a lot because we know that the number of blessings we have is not what determines how happy we are. It's the way we regard those blessings. There's a man I know who has a terrible arthritis problem in his left knee, and it causes him a ton of pain, and he's often limping around. I can tell if it's a bad day because he's limping and favoring the other knee. And he said that the way he gets through it is instead of complaining about his left knee, he puts his attention on his right knee. And he says, my right knee is fine. It's really good. It's strong. I love how strong and pain-free my right knee is. And then he said, and then I think about my ankles. A lot of people have arthritis in their ankles. He said, I don't. My ankles are great. My ankles are as good as when I played basketball in high school. He said, I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I don't have any pain in my shoulder and that my one elbow is a little tricky sometimes, but not usually, and the other one's great. It's such a simple thing. And it's not just a trick. It's not a trick he uses to pretend that he doesn't have arthritis. It's just as true as saying I have arthritis in my left knee. It's just as true. It's just changing where the focus is. Thanksgiving is a time where we get to realize that if we shared in the spirit of this day more often, if we were more mindful of what the feeling of being grateful is like, maybe we wouldn't need so many painkillers. Maybe if we focused on what didn't hurt, we wouldn't need to put so much attention into the spots of our lives that do. Maybe if the people in Hollywood could be grateful that they've made it that far in life. My goodness, I've won the lottery, they could think. I'm not just good looking, I'm also popular. And I'm not just popular, I'm also rich. If any one of those things could be something they could really feast on, maybe it wouldn't be such a place filled with addiction and depression and sorrow. Maybe if we focused on what wasn't hurting, we could consume less painkillers than we do now. The secret is that it's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy. It's the reverse of what we think. We think, I can be grateful once I've got something to be happy about. But that's not true. There are lots of people out there that are happy with less than we have. It is gratefulness that leads to our happiness. I learned this lesson in a powerful way from a cashier in a grocery store down in Albany. I was putting my items on the belt, and I just very naturally, politely just said, "Hi, how are you today?" And I did not expect to hear the answer that I got. She said, "I am amazing." And then she said, "But of course, I don't need to tell you that. You already know that I'm amazing." And I said, "Yeah, you seem amazing." She said, "I sure am." She said, "God put me on the wake-up list this morning." How many of us wake up in the morning and go, "Oh, Lord, morning." She felt grateful because she was on the wake-up list that day. And you know who shares that with her? Every blessed one of us. All filled with gratitude because God put us on the wake-up list this morning. What happens tomorrow, we don't know. But for November 22nd, we were added to the wake-up list. Happiness is not determined by what we have. And it's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy. Happy Thanksgiving.